All right, and we can all see that the recording has started, and we'll move on. So hello, everyone. Again, welcome to the May New York Atlassian community event. It's great to see some familiar faces as well as a few new ones. Tonight, we'll be looking at a recap of Team 21 and ScriptRunner in the cloud. We've got a full agenda and a lot to cover, as you see here. So we've got two presentations this evening, kicking off with Jean-Philippe. And while we typically don't showcase vendor-specific tools and like to keep our presentations to best practices for team efficiency, we had several requests to spotlight ScriptRunner, and we're delighted to have Jean-Philippe with us to walk us through the latest on ScriptRunner and how it brings its power to your cloud environments. We'll also be doing a brief recap of Atlassian's annual conference, Team 21. Please stick around after the talks for a chance to win some awesome prizes, courtesy of our sponsors. And for those that already won in our last event, we want to take this time to recognize your winnings and then also let you know that you can't win again. We want to keep it available for everyone else on the call. So we thank you and appreciate the continued support of the community. Interested in connecting more? Become a member of our online community to receive updates on upcoming New York events and other happenings. And at this point, I will stop the share of the announcements and I'll hand it over to you, Jean-Philippe.
Thanks, Andrew. All right. Can you hear me good? The mic is all right. Okay, good. So let me get this going. So hi, everyone. Really happy to be here and showing you guys some of the stuff we've been doing with ScriptRunner, but also kind of one of the big topics that we get, which is migrating ScriptRunner over to the cloud. So that's why we call this presentation, or I call it, I guess, it's not a team, translation, not migration, how to translate your scripts to the cloud. In this presentation, I got an agenda. I'll go over it, but let me tell you who I am first. My name is Jean-Philippe Comeau. You can call me JP. It's probably going to be a bit easier, but Andrew's been doing really good job at saying my name right. So kudos to that. I'm a customer success advocate at Adaptivist, and three things you should know about me. I'm a new dad, so you may hear some loud noises that are out of my control at some point. If that happens, I'm sorry. He's learning what life is. I'm from Montreal, so I usually speak French, hence the weird name at the top. So if sometimes I'm looking for my words or whatever, it's just because language, you know. And I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. So for all the Giants and Jets fans out there, specifically Giants, I say hi to you. If you want to go into some banter, feel free to do so in the chat. I'm always happy to joust with fans of bad teams. Now, I'm also I'm part of Adaptivist, who you may know from ScriptRunner, of course. I have to highlight kind of the stuff that we do. We are a platinum vendor, we're platinum partner. We do a bit of everything and anything. One of the things that we're very proud of this year is we did win the Cloud Migration Services Award from Atlassian. We're really focused on migrations right now, and I think everybody in the Atlassian ecosystem, be it vendor, partner, or customer, or like actual users, are kind of all in the cloud and thinking about what's next as a DC, as a cloud, and we're here to help with that. But enough of Adaptivist, you know about us. Here's what we're going to be talking. I'm going to be talking about ScriptRunner on-premise versus cloud, kind of the differences, how to approach your migration over to cloud, and then I'll go into some automation use cases and exploration of ScriptRunner cloud with an instance I got running. Now, remember, whenever we talk about ScriptRunner, there's a lot. I probably won't be able to cover everything in 20 minutes, but this is the kind of presentation, whenever I do ACEs, I enjoy talking and answering questions. So if you have anything you want to say, comment, ask, feel free to interrupt me. Raise your hand if you don't feel like that's the polite thing to do. If you feel like the polite thing to do is to interrupt me, that's fine as well. Just come off mute and please let me know. I know there's also going to be, if I'm correct, Andrew and Dilip, there's going to be a Q&A section after this, right? So we will be able to workshop. Awesome. Awesome. So the difference is same face, different brain. The reason why I use this amazing face-off image, John Woo movie, iconic, is really because it actually relates to a ScriptRunner product. We have the ScriptRunner for cloud and ScriptRunner for server and data center. And these two are very different products, but we name them the same. So kind of like Nick Cage, you know, it's the Nicolas Cage face, but really it's John Travolta behind the mask. It's kind of the same thing for our products. Um, if you go to ScriptRunner for cloud, we're going to be using the REST API a lot and interacting with the REST API, which is basically whatever is exposed to you and to us to modify. There's also going to be discrepancy in the functionality. It's not parity yet. We're working on that heavily, but we're kind of, our hands are kind of tied to what Atlassian allows us to do and what they don't. So and that's all for security reasons. I don't want to say that they're like forcing us not to give you value. That's definitely not the case, but it's just technology, right? We got to build it. And of course we can't run the code locally. So what you're used to on-prem is we use the Jira brain basically to run everything that we do. We use the API. We use the same language that the same coding language that the developers use. So we can use your database. We can do a lot of things that we can't do on cloud because the apps are not literally installed on your instance. Okay, so I'm just going to break down a little bit of what I went through really quickly. REST API versus API. What does that mean? And like if I'm not a developer, the REST API is about posting and getting, and I really see it as a kind of a postal service or mail service. I don't know how US postals, I guess. It's very much like you're sending things or you're receiving things, and the REST API kind of acts as a you know, it acts like a wall to make sure that whatever is coming through you have authorization for, and whatever the tool is giving to you and sending out, you also have authorization for. So I really, if you want to put like a picture in your mind, really just think of like, hey, I'm sending a letter because I need to get information. So I'm going to send a letter and asking for information. So let's say I'm going to ask in this example that I show here, I'm going to ask for a custom field name. All right. I need a custom field. Sorry, a custom field. I have the name. So I'm going to send a letter with the name of the custom field. The app is going to say, all right, I got your letter. You want the custom field name. Do you have the right permissions? Yes, you do. You're authorized to ask for this information. Let me give you the custom field that you're looking for. If you don't, it'll say no. And it's the same thing for putting information. Think of it as you're putting a box together. You throw stuff in it. In this case, a JSON. And I'll explain a JSON really quickly. A JSON is basically a data hierarchy structure. So think of it as like XML or however you want to think of it, but really it's like all the fields are going to be in there. You're going to have the field name, the field description, and it's just a package of data. You can send that to Jira. Jira will say, all right, are you authorized to send me data? Yes. All right, let me take it, unpack it, put it on my system, and you're good to go, and send back like a response saying, I did it. So that's what a REST API is versus what we're used to, which is the managers, right? If you've been developing for ScriptRunner on premise, you're used to using a lot of managers, like directly interacting with the API, which is what we can't do anymore. So those are kind of the major differences between these two. I went through this kind of quick. Hopefully you got it. We're going to go into some examples and you'll see it working and in action, but that's what it is. Okay, so let's talk about how we run your code. As I said, we can't run it locally. And the reason is, and it kind of explains also the feature parity thing. Think of it as Atlassian Cloud is on one end, and that's where your app is hosted and what you're using and all that. And on the other end, you have our Adaptivist server, which are actually running the code. And in between is Atlassian Connect. So basically, the information that you have on your site, we don't get exposed to. You do something, and then you say, all right, I want to trigger this code. Then through Atlassian Connect, we say, oh, you want to run this code? All right, let me run it. And then I'll send you back the information. And so that's kind of how it works. If you want to know more, and I'm going to go into some of the limitations, but if you want to know more, our documentation site has really in-depth information on how this is structured. Let me go over some of the high points for security really quickly. Where we're hosted is in Oregon. So we're in the US West 2 region right now. That's on AWS. We're going to be offering an option to have data in EU Central, so in Frankfurt. And we're going to be able to decide, you're going to be able to decide where you want that data to be. Just know that we don't necessarily keep data, private data or whatever. The things that we keep are like script configs, authorization tokens in order to impersonate users when we run code, but we never actually host your personal data or ticket information or anything like that. I see that the chat is like just popping. I want to make sure. Yeah, we'll post the link to the documentation at the end of the presentation. Sorry, it's like it's like bleeping, so I had to open it. So yeah, that's how that works for the security part of it. And then the other thing I want to talk about is kind of the limitations because of that setup that we have. So you can only make 60 calls per minute. So that means if you're updating issue in a loop, so you're going through multiple issues, if you're running through a loop and you're actually making calls at every time because you're modifying that issue, you're going to have a maximum of 60 per minute. And then it's going to stop and then go on for another 60 seconds. Did I say 60 minutes? I meant 60 calls, so basically 60 seconds if you want one per second. And then we can run the code though for 120 seconds. So let's say we're running at you run 60 calls per minute. And then we go up to that 60-second time frame. So you do more than 120, your code will stop basically. So I recommend most of the time whenever you're running jobs or you're running listeners or things that are kind of big or one-offs, break them down. If you're trying to do 3 things, maybe you do one and then you do another one and then you do another one. I know it's not efficient right now, but it's the best that we can do. If you're having issues still with that, send in a support ticket. We'll see what we can do to help. If it's like one-offs, like, hey, I just need to run the code once. I've seen our team kind of lift these for like one-offs. I'm not going to promise anything. I don't want to put any words in my support team's mouths. I don't want to get them all fired up tomorrow morning. But they're sending a support ticket never hurts. So feel free to do that. So is that good? Before I jump into the migration part of the presentation, I'm still on time. We're good. All right. So let's talk about the approach. That's how I call it. All right. I really see it as an approach. I'm a big rock climbing guy. I used to be a big rock climbing guy before, COVID and kids and stuff. And when I love rock climbing because of the physical aspect, but also the mental aspect of it. You have to study your route. And I think in this case, we're going to the cloud. It feels like climbing a mountain. You see where I'm going with this? It has that kind of vibe to it of studying, making sure that you understand your approach and studying your route and understanding the pitches. The pitches are the technical part of a route. So I break it down into 2 pitches, and I'm going to talk to you guys about. By the way, this is 100% me on that picture. Okay, bye. So our first pitch is the analysis. All right, what do you have? We have a couple of tools to help you do that. If you go to browse script runner in your installed product, you'll be able to see a lot of things regarding your workflows, what you're using in your listeners, and all those scripts are going to be in there. And we don't talk about browse enough. I'll show it to you guys because we have it on cloud as well. But we've really made it a hub for all your script runner stuff. And the other thing is to you can download the Microscope for Jira app and run it for a scan. This is basically just a scan that you run. It's free. You can run it on a trial, so don't worry about it. And if you have any issues, reach out. But what it will give you is something very, very valuable as you're planning your migration. And that's a CSV of every single post function and or anything that you have in your workflows, conditions or validators. And it creates basically a list. It's a checklist of things that you need to look at before you migrate over. This would take, like, we've talked to our consultants, this would take like a week to 2 weeks time, literally 80 man hours to do this and use it. It's not just the reason why we took it out of Script Runner tool is because you can use it for all the automation tools. So it will give you any of the JSU stuff, Bob Swift, if you're using JMWE. As you can see in the modules, basically, it'll tell you what module you're using and it'll tell you the plugin and you have the URL. So you can also, as part of your cleanup, if you have some plugins that you're not using, for instance, if you're not using Script Runner, you'll know very quickly because it won't appear in the list, and maybe you should get rid of it, and that's fine. Or maybe JMWE or anything else like that. It'll be in there. So that's a very valuable thing, and I know a lot of the admins have been very excited about it. It's awesome. And at the end, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a URL thing, so you can just click through all the stuff that you need to go through. It's really well done. And then there's the second pitch. This is a sentence that I wrote in French. I'm sure everybody here understands it, so I don't have to read it. But this is a sentence, and I kind of want to just show you guys what it looks like in English, right? I'm actually really tired right now. Truth be told, I haven't slept much the past 2 days because teeth are starting to come in. So it's been a great experience. But what I want to show you guys is this is kind of the process that you're going to have to go through when you're going to be moving your scripts to cloud. It's not a one-to-one, hey, here's a piece of code, let me move it to cloud. It's you gotta change it, you gotta translate it. And the best translators out there is the people that are actually, you know, artists really at what they do. They take the essence of the text and they translate it to the other language. You can't do it automatically. We know, we've all used the Google Translator. It's not perfect, and that's why we can't do that for scripts. So if you look at a script on premise, this is what it will look like. This is basically a script that changes a field based on another field. Super simple, right? You got your managers in there. This is some stuff that if you're on premise, you've seen a lot of times before. And this is what it would look like on cloud. As you can see, it's like it's nothing, it's not the same at all. It's not even the same number of lines. It's using different gets and puts. So it's just not the same. What I did when I translated that is I said, all right, what am I trying to do here? I'm trying to change this field. All right, let me start from scratch. I did reuse the hover map, which I used. This is, by the way, is an amazing script to assign a ship to a captain in the Matrix, because that's what I do on my weekdays. But this, I basically reused the hover map, and that's the only thing I reused that's exactly like it. But then I went line by line. I said, all right, what is this line for? What am I trying to do? Okay, I'm trying to do this. All right, let me put it in the cloud with what I know. So that's what it would look like. So that's pretty much the translation bit. Let's talk about some use cases. I know you guys want to. So when you're in the cloud, what should you use? And maybe you don't even have Script Runner right now, and you're going to be using it on cloud. So what is it used for? Well, you can of course like trigger calls to other tools, create tickets on transition, update fields, do all the stuff that you kind of expect out of an automation tool. You can also assure good practices and governance using like listeners. Listeners are really, really good for that. Listeners are basically, they listen for events, and whenever these events are triggered, they execute code. So that's been like super powerful. And if you're trying to implement something that goes across your instance, and I'll show you in a second. And then of course there's like the scheduled jobs and stuff that are basically scripts that are run every week, every day, every month, that help you kind of save time. And really it's there for the admins, I think, to save you the hassle of like, hey, could you make sure I get an email saying this after a month? Like, yeah, I'll just build a job and it'll be done. So some kind of if you're looking for like specific use cases that maybe are not matrix related as the ones that I'm going to show you guys, so if we're looking more like work related, if you need to approve access to an app, basically you could build a workflow, and then when you click approve, it triggers an API call to actually enable the access for that user. So you can stay within Jira and start giving access to users. I did that for a customer a while back. You can build a listener for any code review issues. So across the instance, across all projects, any code review issue that are being created should have, for example, the string code review up front. So you could build a regex in the listener and say, all right, is code review there? Yes, no. If not, then maybe you flag it. Maybe you add code review to it, something like that. Then of course, scheduled jobs are like, let's say you have to flag issues that have no comments, no time logged in, no activity in the past 2 weeks. And you could run that like every week, and it will flag those issues, maybe saying, please add a comment, and then it'll add a comment for you automatically and stuff like that. So these are kind of the common use cases. And I have very little time left, maybe like 2 minutes, but this is the part where we can go into the Q&A section, but at the same time, I'll be showing you guys kind of what it looks like under the hood. This is my Jira project, my Jira instance, sorry. Let me show you the browse, because I did talk about browse script runner. Browse is really the hub of script runner. It's super powerful and it hosts basically anything and everything that you're looking for. All the built-in scripts are going to be in one menu, so you can just go in and do some of that stuff. If you're looking for your script listeners, they're going to be there. And let me show you what a script listener looks like. This one I built this morning by literally taking one of the examples. And this is something I want to tell you guys. If you're learning about script runner for Jira Cloud, use the examples. I can't stress this enough. They're so good. I literally built this in 5 minutes. And what it does is anything that's in project TP, which is my test project that gets created, it automatically adds a comment saying, thank you for creating an onboarding request. We'll respond to your query within 24 hours. In the meantime, please read the documentation here. So that's like just a simple listener that was already built in, and bam, it's just working out of the box. And I'll show you how it works, but it's very simple. You select the event that you want this to be triggered on. You select the projects. It could be all projects or specific projects if you want to limit that, and you're good to go. The other thing I want to showcase is the workflows, and it's actually going to bring me to the actual post function script that I built. But if you do what I didn't do in this case, and you actually name them with relevant names, you now have a list of scripts that are hosted on your instance. You know where they are at. You can actually ask for anything that's in inactive workflows and therefore maybe aren't used anymore. And then you can also ask for, is it a condition, a post function, or a validator? So this has been like a godsend for me. And just because now I can actually see the history. Are they running properly? When's the last time? And I can directly jump into them and edit them out of that window. So as you can see, this is the script that I was telling you about. When I create an issue, I grab the captain of the ship that I selected in my issue, and then it just automatically populates the ship value. But that's just like the simple things that you can do that are out of the box. And again, I use the add comment. I use these examples all the time, because the main thing you're going to find, especially if you're coming from on-premise, the learning curve is really around how do I get stuff and how do I post stuff, right? I used to use issue service. I used to use all these different things that I'm used to, managers. I can't use them anymore. I need to use the API. So how does the API work? Best way to learn, do that. Or the other option is always the library.adaptivist.com. That's full of scripts to get you started. So you can select all the scripts for cloud. And then within that, just select one and boom, you got a script to start with. You got server cloud. So you just select cloud and you got a script that you can start with and copy that, put it on your cloud instance. And of course, as you know, if you've been doing script runner, the community is super active on Atlassian.community or community.atlassian.com. Go on there, post your questions. People are answering all the time. And yeah, I think it's a great place to get all this information. Whew. I know Deanna talked fast. I saw the timer going down, 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 and I started stressing out. So if I went too fast on some stuff, I'd like to open the floor. If you guys have any questions, anything you want me to go over, if you don't like the Eagles, whatever you want to tell me, now's the time. Oh, I see there's a bunch of questions in there. Okay, let me go back. Did you guys see any questions that I should answer? How many folks here are using on server cloud? Yeah, migration plan. Sweet. Hopefully, Joe, you found this useful. Okay, DC first for Zenzi. Yep, that makes sense. Yep. Okay, so if you mean the new features for Script Runner, we're really focused and dedicated on both products. So we're trying to bring parity to both. That's what we're trying. It's not easy just because of the nature of what they are. And there's actually some stuff that are on cloud that aren't on on premise, but most of the things that we got on premise you get. The only things I can think of that we have on cloud that I find really useful is the script variables. So what they are basically is they're constant variables that you can use. So if, let's say, you have an authentication token that you're using in your scripts for API calls or whatever, you can enter it in there and they're going to be actually closed down. So you don't need to share them with people and stuff. So you can reference to them, and if they change, you can change them. That's a really, really cool functionality. And I haven't looked at the roadmap in a while. I don't know if it's been added on prem. That's like the one example I can think of that's on cloud and not on prem. Rest of the stuff is mostly all on prem.
So unlike Atlassian, when they moved Jira server to Jira Cloud, you're not going to drop a few features and get everyone upset.
We're working hard. I know, like, the main thing, right? People are going to ask me about behaviors, I guess, or they want to ask me about behaviors. By the way, if you don't know what behaviors are, they're basically allowing you to have dynamic, I call them dynamic forms, basically screens. So if you have like something that changes in field A, field B will change based on that. It also allows you to modify a field completely. I've built dynamic select lists, basically using text fields, literally transform using behaviors. They're really powerful, but they usually mess up with the JS and everything that's on top of Jira. So that's why it's taken a while to get them on cloud, because they mess with the UI a lot. So Atlassian has yet to expose kind of the APIs that we need for that. And we're all working on it together. Atlassian and ScriptRunner, Adaptivist are working like that to bring you guys the functionality that you need to get work done.
Hi, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Because my concern whenever there's such migrations are every single third-party app being compatible with the new version of Jira. Just, I'm gonna have nightmares. I'm the only Jira admin at the job.
Well, thank you for your service.
I'm really trying to just, I'm really trying. And this is something, for the most part, we are 9 to 5, but we do have some people that work around the clock. So I have to be really, really careful when I'm doing updates and making any changes.
Okay. So your question being?
My question being, it's general. How, I think my question is always about communication, about, communicating with Atlassian and, the vendor and everything, and making sure that all the updates are timely and,
as far as making sure that, like, there's parity of features and all that, and making sure that all that is aligned.
Exactly.
There is the GCMA tool, and there are some tools to help you kind of analyze what you got. There's nothing like what I would suggest, right, is analyze which apps are critical, which apps are nice to have, and which apps should not be coming with you on cloud.
Yeah, we're doing it right now.
Yeah, so that's how you start, and then you go down the must-have list, and there's no tool to kind of allow you to really make sure there's parity other than GCMA tool. So hopefully that's enough. If not, then you'd have to reach out to the vendors and ask. It's a journey, let's put it that way, and I feel the pain, but that's why we're all working to, and when I say all, I mean vendors right across the ecosystem. We're all working and sharing information, making sure you guys are equipped with the right tools to do what you need to do. And of course, I'd be remiss to not say that there are plenty of people that are willing to help out there, and I do mean the community, and I mean anyone that's out there to help. But information's out there, but there's no automated tool to do what you're asking.
Oh yeah, I absolutely understand it. I'm in the middle of a nightmare right now with a third-party vendor that's for something that we use all the time, who simply just refuses to get back to us.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, and I don't even know it. Like our license is expired. The new license number we got, there's an error with it. They will not get back to us, and now I'm concerned because now we're going to be moving over, from data center to the cloud, and I don't even know if this company. I mean, they're still around,
What's the? I don't want to.
I'm not going to badmouth. I'm just.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I will say it is a vendor that creates a plugin for Google Drive.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, okay, so
Which is
that's
kinda
not
major.
it's not like a functionality thing that you can. It's like literally a connector. So
Exactly. And I absolutely can't tell, okay, people stop using Google Drive. Like that's just not gonna happen.
I mean, and have you looked at? You've probably looked at the other stuff that's available online for like.
I'm looking because I started going back and forth between, you know, myself and Atlassian, and then they were having me go to the vendor. They would, like, it's been several weeks. They won't get back to me. And so now I'm starting to hope that there is another vendor that does the same, that has an app that does the same thing. Has to be.
Yeah, there has to be. Yes, there has to. But it's the thing is, it's also the kind of what I explained in the beginning, right? How they're built, how the apps are built. Sometimes it's functionality that is just, as much as every vendor out there wants to give you that feature, maybe it hasn't been incorporated in Connect or Forge, kind of the two tools that we can use as developers to develop apps. So that's the thing, you know. But I feel your pain. I wish I could help it, but we, you know, we don't do connectors. I don't know. I can't. We don't do connectors for Google Drive.
Oh no, I understand. I think it's just because of what I'm dealing with this one vendor. I'm hoping this is a unique situation.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the vendor. I know we've been very, very forthcoming and willing to help our customers. Like, I'm sure anyone here that has put a support ticket to Adaptivist knows that we're pretty on the ball with our support tickets. So, you know, I wish you luck on your journey. Hopefully it's not all the same experience that you're going to get for the next add-ons that you're going to have to go through.
Thank you. So no, I'm not going to mention them, but you know, if
no, but that's all.
If someone else is
Right.
not alone and they understand my pain, then you know.
Maybe you can give us the clue of starting letter, the ending letter, and then. No, I'm just kidding. Please don't. But definitely make sure that you leave the reviews on the marketplace, so that way it would help other vendors when they are evaluating.
I did not think to do that. I will do that. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, I have always voiced my opinion. Like in the past, whenever I used to try, because like just like you, like now you're hanging in the air and you just look bad in front of your management. So
yeah, and fortunately, it's a small enough company. You know, management is pretty cooperative, but we have work that needs to get done. So, you know, but thank you.
Cool. No problem. I mean, all right. Yeah. John, I had one quick question. Sorry, John Philip. Had one question. So part of this cloud offering, do you have some way of versioning these changes? Like I have been using you guys from the beginning. And the biggest challenge that I have is every time you make the changes, it's gone. Like there's no version history.
Yeah, the version history we keep on the docs. So if you go into doc.adaptivist.com and you go into cloud, we actually every month we put the list of features that we added. I mean, I've never seen a case where we remove features without telling anyone. We'll definitely add features without telling a lot of people. So that has happened in the past. So, but there's no way for an app vendor right now to version our apps in cloud. The same way, I mean, like where you could, you know, what they added for premium, where you can stop the versioning of cloud. There's no way to do that for apps yet. I'm not in the talks for the road mapping, so I don't know if it's going to come to the apps. Maybe, I'm not sure. That's higher than my pay grade, but that's what I can tell you. If you go to the docs, you can see every month the new features that we added.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Over to you, Andrew.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments from everyone else from the community here? That was wonderful. Thank you, Zenzi, for your input and everything.
Hold on. I do have one.
Oh, Dilip's got one. Okay, Dilip.
So I think one of the things is I'm curious about is for the cloud itself, right? So I think a couple of folks here, including myself, you know, a couple, etc., you know, never used it because there wasn't for the cloud. Can you just talk about some highlights that you've seen from customers who are on cloud and who've just started, you know, kind of implementing the script runner, you know, plugin added?
Yeah, some of the highlights. I mean, because Of course, the script listeners are going to be a big deal. They're going to help a lot. The post functions everybody knows about. One of the things that's bundled into is the enhanced search feature, which is also kind of our response to our JQL functions that we had inside of the on-prem product. So allowing you to have more in-depth reporting and finding the issues that you want. And that's bundled into it. So if you're looking to do more, that's definitely something that will be in there. So I don't know if you know about the JQL functions, but they're basically higher level, JQLs. So issue linked of and there's like inside of Epic and stuff like I usually have the menu in front of me, so now I look dumb because I don't have the menu and I can't tell you the names. But I know a lot of people use them daily on their dashboards and everything to get information that I use them, for example, to figure out any issue that I've worked on that is linked to that issue. I use the JQL, and basically the enhanced search allows us to do that. The reason why we had to build an external tool instead of doing the JQL functions is, again, we don't have access to the DB and directly going into Lucene and doing all that. So we had to build kind of an external tool, but it's bundled into a script runner for cloud. So that's a big plus. Again, the listeners are very powerful. I can't stress that enough for governance and looking over what you're doing, making sure that anything that's created is doing a certain thing, or inputting comments automatically is a big one. If you have like service tickets, and you want to make sure that anything, for example, right? Let's say you have a service ticket that comes in, or it's a ticket in general, but you have a field based on, I don't know, it could be a module that you're building or something like that. And you want to make sure that any ticket that's created related to a specific module, in the comments, you're going to input a documentation link that says, hey, remember to update this document as you're going to be building this feature. A listener can do that and automatically add that link to the Confluence page, for example, of the documentation. So you're kind of building, I keep going back to that governance and kind of best practices when I talk about listeners, because it allows you that kind of the God mode of like, hey, every time you create a ticket, I know about it. I'm going to throw this link at you. I'm going to tell you to do that. You can't do that. And those are the kinds of things that, one other example is, if you have an employee that's left, right, or recently left, and people are still assigning tickets to him because maybe the user is still available in Jira and you need to keep him active for X reasons or whatever. I know you shouldn't do that, Zenzi, but that happens.
That is huge. Oh my God. That is huge because we use Office 365. And so we're trying, we also have a bunch of user groups in Azure, and we're trying to manage not having inactive users in Jira and Confluence. It's a nightmare.
But that's an example, right? So anybody that would assign, or whenever that user is assigned somewhere, you can use a listener to say, hey, that user shouldn't be there. Please throw them out. You could use a listener to do that. And that's just like data cleanup. So we're going beyond, I mean, I don't want to talk about the obvious, right? Post functions to me are kind of obvious, meaning, hey, I'm moving this issue there. Please execute this automation. I think there's a bunch of tools out there that do that well. I like to think that Script Runner does it really well, but there are obviously a lot of automation tools out there that does that. I think where we bring in that extra layer is really around these kind of governance pieces and the scheduled jobs that you can run automatically. And script fragments are coming, which is really cool. Right now, script fragments, I didn't talk about them a lot because on cloud, they're kind of limited for now. But what they do is they inject UI pieces inside of Jira. So you could add right now we basically add a web panel, whatever you need. So you could have an issue with a web panel for basically a documentation site, and you just want to make sure that the documentation site is always in the ticket. You could do that right now with fragments. Ultimately, what we do on premise is, and the reason why I talk about it while talking about cloud is we'll try to get that on cloud. You can add buttons that do things, like literally automation for your users. So you could add a button that says, create a Slack message to JP. And whenever you click that button, it sends a message directly to me. So you could build fragments that do that. And usually what people would use before that was transitions. So I was, when I was an admin back in my day at Ubisoft, what I would do is I would build transitions that were basically automation buttons. So people would ask me, hey, I need an automation to do that. And my easiest way to do it would be to build a transition that would loop itself and go back and basically trigger whatever call I needed to call. Now you can use a script fragment to do it, and you don't have to over. If you'd seen the workflows, man, it was terrible.
And we're running out of time because Andrew's going to stop you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No. One last quick question. Data residency and security, right? Because you're implementing. I'm just curious, have you had any issues kind of come up with clients about the fact about you executing on your particular servers? I think just one, if you can quickly just talk about it, because I'm sure there's going to be some interest.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's important. And all our tools that we're building right now, we're all doing them serverless. So they're all using Lambda functions, which means that we're not really hosting much of anything. We're really running code most of the time. As far as security, we haven't had major issues. We have had data residency questions, like I think every app vendor around. And that's why we're building our new AWS cluster in Frankfurt to have a EU and a US. And of course, we're going to be looking to expand as we grow if we see need. Support tickets, reach out, let us know. It's the only way we can gather data, right? It's the only way I can say, hey, I've had 17 requests to have this in Australia. Can we make it happen? If I don't have the request, it's difficult for me. And my job as a customer success advocate is to relay whatever you guys are doing, the community, and to relay that to our team, be it the partner side, the professional services, or the product. Like I'll get back to them if someone says something, but if I don't have the data, it's difficult. Support tickets are like hard data that I can go back to. So
I have some questions. This is very important to me because I'm trying to decide, right? So I'm so glad that you talked about governance. Is it good enough for ISO and HIPAA? And that, okay, so 1 second. Okay, so that's one.
Go ahead.
And also, are there any useful videos on Adaptavist site? And if there is, can you put it in the chat? And also, so they say that a good salesperson really understands the competition as well. So I wanted to understand from your point of view, what is the advantage for the script runner versus PowerScript? Because obviously it's very important to me to really kind of understand both sides to be able to decide.
Okay, I'm gonna try to be politically good at answering all these questions. Okay, as far as HIPAA and any compliance on security, of course, I can't guarantee anything. I can't tell you that it will make your instance HIPAA compliant. It can help with data security. Definitely, again, the listeners can make sure that you delete anything that's old scheduled jobs, can do that as well. Make sure that any relevant information, personal information, is not kept over a certain period of time, or that it's moved automatically to an archived site that you want to make sure that all the issues are being moved into. You can do some things to help you. So I guess that's the best I can do to answer your question without saying it makes everything HIPAA compliant. It doesn't, but it will help you.
That's good enough. Okay.
Okay. The second question was,
why is Script Runner better than PowerScript?
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
what is the advantage?
The advantage is the language that you use is JavaScript Groovy, which is a language that hasn't been built specifically for a tool. And also we allow more extensions. And that's pretty much all I'll say. But so far, the main thing for us has been that JavaScript developers and Java developers find it much easier to interact with our tool because it's code language that they know. PowerScript uses its own in-house language that was built for the tool. So you have to learn a new language, basically.
Okay. That's good enough. Okay.
That's all I'll say.
So please post any videos in the chat, please. Thanks.
All right, will do.
Thank you so much, Jean-Philippe.
I have some questions because we're not using Script Runner yet, and I would like to, make a case. Although I have the final decision, I would still like to make a case
for Script Runner.
Yes, if there's a big purchase, if there's a major purchase, I mean, we're server right now, but we're probably gonna have to make an additional purchase when we go over the
John
contract.
Philip, it sounds like you really need to sell it. You need to really sell. There are obviously people that who's really interested, and you really need to go there. So.
Okay.
Well, for the community here, we try and keep things not too vendor centric. We use the time here to give Jean-Philippe the platform to show the benefits of Script Runner, because it was a highly requested topic. We would like to take the time here to move on to the other portion of the event tonight, which is just the recap of everything, which hopefully may answer a couple of other general questions that the team has here. So with that,
and I'm sorry, John, you're going to remain till the end as well, right? So I think Sam, I think Andrew, I saw that you were going to speak. Zenzi, if you want, you can remain till the end, and let's go through that. Let's have the raffles, and then afterwards, I think Jean-Philippe, you said you'll stay, correct?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
I can stay. That's not a problem. And I mean, yeah, that's all. Yeah,
okay. We can speak then. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for the engaging conversation and everything. There's a lot of great back and forth, and appreciate answering all those questions, Jean-Philippe. So with that, I will go ahead and share the second portion of the discussion tonight, which is the Atlassian Team 21 recap. So moving into the deck here, I'll be taking us through the first two items, and then I'll be handing it off to Dilip, who will give us some insight into some selected breakout sessions. Upon our thorough review of the keynotes, we believe we can accurately bundle them into two focus points. As we heard with Jean-Philippe, the linkage of calls between the tools and the use of automation saves valuable time for teams and reduces hassle. So this year's Team 21 emphasized the collective workforce's continued journey towards digital transformation, showcasing effective ways of working with a few examples shown here. And when it comes to technology, integration and automation were the spotlight for this theme. Adapting to the new ways we collaborate in a digital environment means increasing our use of data to make team decisions and respond to change collectively. Implementing new tools and upgrading our existing tools is a great way to keep that competitive edge, but it also requires improvements to the ways we actually work together in a distributed workforce. Otherwise, the tools will not operate at their full potential. Journeying through the unknown as an organization and embracing the changes that need to happen collectively was the main point we took away from this theme. Now that we covered those major themes, let's check out some of those big announcements. I'm sure everyone here is aware of Atlassian's move to the cloud, as Jean-Philippe had hinted earlier. And if not, you have some catching up to do. And I'm only playing. While we won't use this time to cover that topic, but rather use it as a launching point to see what Atlassian is up to in order to help meet the needs of the teams during this transition. Before moving on, for those interested in the cloud enterprise, there are a few benefits, such as unlimited instances, 99.95% uptime, and that 24/7 support. For those interested in Atlassian's commitment to compliance with cloud, they are expanding to additional regions such as Australia, which is slated for Q3 of this year, Canada, Japan, and the UK, which are slated for Q1 and Q2 of next year. They're also securing key compliance certifications such as HIPAA, as mentioned, which is also slated for Q1 and Q2 of next year. And it's also important to note the other attestations that they're working on, which are shown here. I would like to take a brief pit stop before moving on to allow folks interested in cloud roadmaps, as well as the data centers roadmaps, to scan the QR codes here, and they will give you great insight into what's to come, as we saw with data residency and compliance. And you can share those with your internal teams for awareness. So I'll just hold the screen here for 1 second, and the URLs are also shown. All right, now let's get into the good stuff. What new things can your teams get their hands on? And what better place to start than with point A? Atlassian stood up a new program, Point A, which brings cloud customers into the feedback collection process and tests versions of their tools within the customer's environment and provide their thoughts directly to Atlassian product teams. And the goal of this program is to roll out a product that meets the needs of customers by solving their most pressing challenges with firsthand feedback and help build the next generation of teamwork tools. The first two tools are live, but still gather feedback and undergo frequent changes and updates, while the last three are still in alpha and beta, undergoing those further tests. When we dive into the specific platforms in this presentation, you'll notice that we supplied some QR codes that you can scan, and they'll take you to the software pages if you're interested in checking them out further. To shed a bit more light on Point A and how to become a part of the program, upon visiting the Point A site, you'll see the platforms, and for those that are live, such as Jira Work Management, or in beta, like Team Central, you'll have the ability to add them to your environment by clicking on the Try Now and going through a few steps. For those in alpha, you can sign up for the waitlist. Now I'll give a brief overview of each of them, starting with Jira Work Management. Jira Work Management is coined as a solution for all teams such as marketing, HR, design, and sales. And recognizing the opportunity to give non-IT teams the power to track their work without the sometimes overwhelming functionality that your Jira software brings. And this platform provides much more familiar and relatable screens that business teams can use to track work. They have the Kanban board, which we're all familiar with, but also has a list view, which is shown here, that could sometimes relate to an Excel sheet, as well as timeline, which is similar to roadmap in Jira software, and the calendar. Now, I really like this view because of the inline editing, the list view that we see here, because it gives users the ability to just directly edit the issue summaries, and they'll be able to adjust the assignee, the status, the due date, and the priority without needing to go into the ticket details. They can just do it all from this screen right here. It's important to note that Jira Work Management projects still fall under the company managed structure, which is formerly known as classic projects, and they require an admin to make changes to project settings, and they're not available for the team managed projects, which are formerly known as Next Gen. Next is Help, which makes internal request management conversational and provides users a seamless experience when it comes to making requests. Users send in their requests using the organization's chosen communication tools like Slack and MS Teams, with the feedback that goes right to the support team's ticketing system, making it easy for everyone. Think of it as a modern lightweight help desk for humans who love Slack and Microsoft Teams. And my favorite feature here is the automation where Help can resolve routine questions and tasks automatically with powerful workflows and powerful machine learning. So I'm sure everyone else here has been burdened with the repeated password requests and having to try and solve those, the amount of steps it takes to resolve it. So the main benefits with Help are: one, users don't need to learn a new tool or a process for submitting tickets. And two, support teams maintain confidence that no request falls into the cracks and those routine tasks can be handled easily, freeing them up to work on the more difficult and complex requests. Jira Product Discovery is currently in alpha and has the waitlist, and it will better fit product managers to build what really matters. They'll be able to prioritize impact, build insightful product plans, and move teams from discovery through delivery together with the goal of releasing a product that they're all proud of. And I'm certainly looking forward to seeing the near-term growth of this platform and its potential. Next, we have Compass, which is a single hub for all application and software teams to compile information from a collection of sources to see a full picture of a software project so they have a stronger pulse on what's going on. It's also currently in alpha and has the waitlist, but it's something my team's very interested in checking out as it provides a bird's eye view into all the services in an organization and their connections. And the goal of Compass is to improve the processes and help modern teams amplify that digital transformation. Now, as work has evolved over the past year, status reporting, unfortunately, has not. And to status updates in the modern world and to keep everyone in sync, Atlassian has created Team Central, which is in beta, which offers curated, concise updates in one organized feed. It's the single source of truth for updates that are meaningful to you. Distributed work is here to stay, and businesses need a more effective way of staying up to date. With all the projects in progress, some can be noise, and you only want to see the information that's relevant and not all of the information. And with just a single click, you can follow the projects you need to know about and get it in the right format that's easily consumed. And out of all the announcements that we saw in Team 21, this was my favorite. And I could go on about all of the benefits, but I'll just stick with the feature I found most exciting is the automatic reminder that goes to project owners to share end of week reflections, which are then delivered to their followers' inbox first thing Monday morning. So this is a win-win. And I think this quote sums it up because nobody loves status reporting. So wrapping up point A and the tools that are part of the program's launch, we wanted to give a quick recap here of those tools statuses and views to the URLs that were associated with those QR codes in case you want to just jot something down. Now, all of these tools are available for use. And then if you get into the wait list, you can use those tools as well. So with point A, your teams can jump in and give feedback right to those product teams. So merging the two themes that we addressed earlier, the path towards the digital transformation and adapting the ways we work together, enter Open DevOps, which is Atlassian's solution to seamlessly creating tool chains and a new experience bringing together Atlassian and third-party partner tools. It gives teams everything they need to build, ship, and operate software while enabling them to mix and match Atlassian's tools with other vendors, such as CircleCI, X-Ray, Datadog, and GitLab. This will support teams wanting to improve team collaboration between the various pillars of product and projects, such as planning, deploying, and collaborating, without forcing them to choose between the best of breed tools or an all-in-one. Another product that joined the family but isn't part of point A is ThingTilt, which is the maker of Proforma. Proforma empowers teams to control the way they pull information into Jira, and those tools would be Jira Service Management, Core, and Software. It allows teams to collect specific structured and validated data without custom fields. And what this means is that the fields in Proforma don't need to map to a custom field in Jira, which will reduce the bandwidth for all of those admins out there that are struggling with constantly going into their back end, adding that custom field, and then making sure that it doesn't break anything. And I'm looking forward to checking this out and seeing how we can put this to use within my project teams, especially for gathering feedback during testing. And that wraps up the big announcements. So let's take a bit deeper dive into what Team 21 was composed of before checking out some of those breakout sessions. We can see there was a large collection of content and a great emphasis on demos and those breakout sessions. If our recap has you wanting more and you want to check out the recordings of Team 21, we have the QR code on here for you. It'll take you to the Team 21 events page where you can register for an all access pass and have access to all the recordings until the end of the year. For Team 21, Atlassian managed to fit 105 sessions worth of content into just 2 days. And we won't be able to cover all of them this evening, but at this time, I'll stop my share and hand off to fellow community leader, Dilip.
Great, thank you, Andrew. Just give me a second while I share my screen here. Okay, folks. So just kind of coming off on the full list of all the talks, the 105 sessions that were there. I kind of like to take a look at it, kind of got to get a big picture of the themes and the views that Atlassian is kind of projecting, based on the way they kind of organize and tag As you can see here, they've kind of broken out the various sessions, based on session type, solution, and track. And of course, you can see all the kind of the big buzzwords here: business transformation, ITSM, ITO. And of course, we have kind of the usual tracks here, right? Journey to the cloud and scaling for the enterprise. Again, and I kind of find it amusing, they say they use journey instead of migration, right? It's a way to kind of deaden the pain of the actual migration. And another nice way to look at kind of all the sessions is a nice way to kind of look at a word cloud of the presentation titles. This is from last year, and you can obviously see, it's only from the breakout sessions. Of course, the big ones you see are kind of cloud and journey. And then if you look at, the Team 21 kind of presentation type of word cloud, obviously you have the same trend continuing here with cloud and now kind of the latest buzzwords, such as transformation, agility, scaling, and remote, right? But what I'm going to do now is probably just kind of talk a little bit about some of the highlights of the breakout sessions. Again, this is not an exhaustive coverage of the various sessions, just my personal opinion and some interesting sessions with quick highlights, and kind of encourage you to kind of dig more by watching the actual talk. So first, I always like to start with what I call kind of the software craft. So AKA kind of culture, practices, the people, teams, and new ideas, not specifically on Atlassian tools. I find these are more interesting because, they're focused on the specific product, and they're not focused on the specific product. And they can be applicable, kind of outside of any individual role. So if you're Jira admin, Confluence power user, or product manager, you can kind of still learn from all these presentations. So the first one I want to talk about is a talk that they had called Customers as Design Partners. And it's really actually the story that Atlassian and how they went about building the new Jira workflow management product over the last year when things went remote. This presentation highlights the use of the new internal process, which is called Point Day, and hence the term for that Point Day set of the new releases, and also kind of a lot of the lessons learned in building out the new product. Second one is a building solutions presentation, which really is a detailed deep dive into Jira Align, but it's along with the functionality of Jira Align, it really speaks to about how to kind of what they call kind of creating a strategically aligned enterprise with the tools, and also show kind of how progress is moving at an executive level. So you can kind of roll up your stories and epics and themes kind of to a higher level. And then lastly is what's called this presentation called the Unicorn Project and 5 Ideals. And it's really about adopting DevOps principles in large, complex organizations, and really gives a history and detailed examples of each principle. And so here's some quick highlights of what's covered in these kind of what I call kind of like these top 3 talks that I found useful. First, in Point Day, as I mentioned, is how they use to build out their Jira workflow management tool. It's really what they call the internal program for the ideation and development of new products. It's composed of these 5 steps that they call, wonder, explore, make, impact, scale, and they're kind of like their tagline again from their particular marketing perspective is called "Build with customers, not for customers." Second, and as I mentioned earlier, I think Atlassian I've seen is they've started to use solutions theme to highlight how their tools focus on solutions, versus kind of individual specific, point, kind of software applications. And you can see kind of how their solutions fit these, what they call what I call kind of like 3 buckets based on the team type. So obviously you've seen, where, kind of Jira went from software teams, they evolved into, to Jira Service Management for IT teams. And now they're creating Jira workflow management for kind of the biz teams. And again, they're trying to kind of integrate, kind of own the full stack here. And then lastly, as I mentioned, the Unicorn Project and 5 Ideals presentation, I would say is the must watch. And again, it is of all the talks here. And it's kind of a corresponding book here, and that's kind of what's highlighted here. And again, these 5 ideals that's kind of outlined in the talk looks like marketing buzzwords. But honestly, it's a great detailed real-world examples and practices. It kind of combines really disparate topics such as functional programming, DevOps, and if you're familiar with Mihai's, Csikszentmihalyi's ideas on workflow, on flow as well. It's really a kind of a great presentation. Moving on to other works. Obviously, the big theme, obviously, over the last year has been remote work. And so they had a couple of presentations kind of address this new paradigm. A really nice one is this Atlassian for HR, which really talks about how the HR and IT teams onboarded 1,000 new Atlassian employees over the last year. This is like a 20% growth for Atlassian. It gives a really nice detailed view of their ecosystem of how they use JSM, Confluence, and how they integrate with Slack and Workday, which some of you folks are familiar with, is a HR management tools. and kind of what they call to reinvent HR services delivery. Second, kind of a practical perspective, there's a 7 Trello's of workflows session that just really kind of just talks about the different Trello workflow boards to build your team's remote culture. It speaks really basically on how to use Trello for managing one-on-ones, team health checks, etc. So do definitely check it out if you're using Trello for some of these things outside of Jira. And then lastly, there is this talk called "How's Your Digital Health" by John Philippe's colleague at Adaptivist. It's a kind of really nice talk, engaging and addressing screen time, kind of always on mentality that's been ushered in by remote work, and really kind of how to manage that health-wise perspective. So it's kind of good there. And lastly, some quick other sessions here to kind of wrap this up here. One is, I'm a big fan of Confluence. So there was a nice presentation on knowledge management, a platform in Confluence this was at the R&D session at HB. It won the Israeli Imagine Forum 2020 award. And it kind of really goes through some nice 5 key principles for implementing solution. There are others on Atlassian certification. It kind of talks about the benefits of certification. And the last one kind of also highlight how there was a session on how to navigate the Atlassian community website, which I'm sure a lot of folks are familiar with, but it also talks a lot about how to get involved, to contribute and get rewards and recognition for being an online community leader. We can contribute and answer questions as well. So do definitely check it out. I think it's kind of a great way of both the certifications and getting participation in Atlassian community to kind of enhance your career as well. All right, and of course, lastly, cloud is always a big topic. And so there had a couple of sessions here, including kind of multiple case studies by different firms, including Northwestern and Splunk, on their journey to the cloud. So this kind of covers, just again, a quick highlights of kind of the various sessions on software craft, on remote work, and just some interesting other sessions there. As I said, there's 105 in total, so there's a lot to see there. So I'm sure the next question is, I think I noticed a couple of folks said they've attended, but I'm not sure if everyone attended. So the question is, how do we get access to this content? And you would think, hey, what, is this on YouTube? To make it easily accessible, clickable, searchable, etc. But unfortunately, it's not there. Okay, this kind of is a big bummer. Last year they had it on YouTube, but this year, for whatever reason, they decided to keep it on the platform. So you have to actually go to the platform and register, and you have to actually purchase a pass. Okay, and it costs $200. But again, as I kind of highlighted here, if you use a discount code TeamCommunityVP, you can get a free pass. And basically, the content will be available, I believe, till the end of the year. And again, I think this particular pass is open till June 1st, is from what I've heard. So please go and definitely register there to get access to these particular contents. Then after you watch the videos, everything kind of goes after online into the online community. And they actually have a set of different postings on the online community where you can chat to the 21 speakers. Again, not too much discussion, honestly, but at least it's a great chance for you to kind of follow up, especially I think some of the cloud migration and other items. You can definitely kind of talk and speak and connect with the speakers there. So I think it's a great way for you to kind of continue that discussion here. All right. And some quick notes. Again, this presentation slide will be available afterwards. You can see some of the recaps here. And again, I didn't find really recaps on the official Atlassian blog. And again, the Jira guy has a really nice summary here with kind of a commentary with a lot of slide screenshots. I think it's an easy and fun read. And I always talk about, it's a great way to quickly pass it to your colleagues and boss who don't want to watch any of the particular sessions as well. All right. And then lastly, what's next, right? So what's next in Atlassian events? Actually, next week, there's a developer day focusing on Atlassian Forge platform. So there was only one session on Forge at Summit. I do feel that this is something Atlassian is really pushing to expand their tools, not just as software, but really kind of as a platform with a rich ecosystem. And this one actually is scheduled for next week, I believe next Tuesday on May 25th, so check it out. And lastly, I think the big announcement they made at the end was on Team 22. So I think they're basically, I think, confirming it's going to be returning to Vegas, for on-site, and so hopefully to kind of end of COVID there. So I think that's kind of I think everyone's kind of happy to hear that. So with that, it's kind of a quick summary of the sessions, and I'll kind of hand it back to Andrew here. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Dilip. And yes, I'm certainly excited to get back to Vegas next year and see everybody in person. So hopefully everyone here can get out there and experience what an Atlassian conference looks like. It's a really great time. But I would like to take this time to open it up to the team and everybody here on the call. Any feedback from anyone else on Team 21? Any favorite sessions or favorite speakers? Anyone want to share?
Yeah, here, Andrew, this is Marta. I really, really liked the event. It was my first time, so I was very happy that I could attend. And I loved how it was talked about the new tools supporting new processes, because we keep evolving, and all about collaboration and transparency. And in particular, I really liked Malcolm Gladwell's little speech. Yeah, I really liked it, really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you, Marta. You actually chimed in so fast, I didn't even get to put up the carrot there. But you win it. It was a swag gift card that was up for grabs. So thank you for just chiming in there. I didn't have a chance to see the Malcolm Gladwell. I haven't seen it go up on the recording, but hopefully we'll be able to see it soon. But Marta, you won the swag, the gift card. If you want to send over your email into a direct message, we can get that over to you.
Will do. Thank you.
Awesome.
No,
Anyone
not
else?
really.
From,
Yeah, I wish you could have told me as well.
A surprise.
I appreciate it. I saw all of the keynotes, especially Malcolm Gladwell, the CIO of Peloton was great. I was sick as a dog, so I was like laying on my sofa watching the whole thing. So I'm glad it's virtual, but fortunately my boss got me the all access, so I can watch all the other videos. One of the things that made me very happy, I create a lot of service management, whatever you want to call it now. And the fact that there are going to be a lot of improvements to the portals and forums and things makes me happy, because it kind of saves me a lot of time and a lot of work. So I'm looking forward to it. Now, my question, and I think I got the answer, that all these great improvements will also be available for the server and data center and not just the cloud.
For a majority of them, it will be cloud focused. Point A is part of cloud, because that's the only way that they can push it and get those updates into there. A lot of their discussions were cloud focused. I did put into those QR codes and those URLs. If you're interested in seeing what the roadmap looks like for data center, that's definitely something to check out, just to kind of see what's coming down the pipe there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited about moving over to cloud, but I don't make the purchasing decisions. So, and we're a nonprofit, so we have a steep discount, and it's going to be, the last time I checked, the price is going to be really, really prohibitive. But we're deep in Jira and Confluence, so hopefully we can move over soon.
You just need to congratulate yourself because you have checked into Hotel California. You'll never get out now.
Exactly. Like, I have no choice. So it's like, now, if they're upgrading, I don't want to be staying in the horrible room down there in the basement. So wish us luck that we can convince the CIO to migrate soon or everything later.
Yeah, I was hoping the opposite. I was hoping that they'd actually show that they really want to give data centers some love, and that there'd be something for on-prem.
We're going to data center.
Like there's nothing. I mean, as much as they're talking, servers not on-prem's not going away, data center, we're really putting a lot into it.
And what is the purpose? What is the purpose, of keeping data center? If, like, you guys want us to leave server, data center seems to be the same thing. Someone please explain this to me.
It's for the companies that have money that don't want to go to cloud. They want to find a way to tap into.
I heard, obviously, for obvious reasons, there's more security for the data center and server versions than cloud. So,
I'm a little negative on the whole thing. You might be able to tell.
Well, the owners have definitely said that there's two different code bases. So they'll look at see what they can port over to data center if it makes sense. But a lot of the fancy stuff, they're leveraging the aspects of cloud to make it happen. They can't necessarily port that over to data center. But
I understand that, yeah.
they're still doing a lot in security and connectivity in data center. In fact, they're even pushing that people can eventually have a combined data center and cloud environment, have
That's
different
great.
products talking across.
That'd be great. Because again, I want the cloud, but I don't pay for it. So, you know.
I think the hybrid world is really going to happen. Like it's just a thing that's going to be for a lot of places where there's going to be data center and cloud kind of living together, where you have like the main instance be on data center for security reasons and all that, and then teams can go off and spin off, cloud instances. That's kind of a world I'd like to live in. Actually, I like the flexibility for a team to be able to spin up their own things. But having that security aspect that I know where it's at, I host it myself, I know behind what firewalls it's at, and yeah, there are some functionalities that are coming over, to data center for sure already, like JSM, like you can still, there will be a point where you'll be able to get like Ops Genie and all that, but right now it's really focusing, but still, you got discovery, insight, and all that is bundled into it on data center, which is really nice. I'm really excited about Insight being inside of JSM, by the way. I was stoked when I heard about that. That was like a big deal. By the way, I don't know if you guys know, but Proforma has also been bought by Atlassian, so that's going to be part of the JSM offering. They haven't mentioned if it's going to be free or not or whatever, but since they bought it, they're going to integrate it a bit more because they know a lot of people use it for just requests and stuff like that people need, like as simple as, hey, I need a laptop. Sometimes you'll get a form attached to it, and then imagine, right, you can now mix it with Insight and you have an object. So there's going to be some really cool stuff you'll be able to do in JSM. I'm kind of excited for where the tool's heading.
Pretty cool. Wow. Speaking of which, I just created a purchase service desk for laptops and things for the department. So
yeah, exactly. So Insight being bundled, you can now have objects for that, and yeah, I'm a big
Atlassian's
fan.
buying up the world.
Yeah, we've been using Insight for a little while. It's pretty powerful. It's a lot, and we used it way before they did the bundling of the whole thing.
Yeah, they were based they're based in Europe, but they opened up a shop in Montreal. So I met a bunch of people that from there. JCUA worked there for a while, and just a great team doing some really, really cool stuff.
And speaking of great stuff, not to segue it, we have a raffle and some prizes we want to give away. We can definitely get back to the open forum and keep the community into the discussions. But for those that have the tight time schedules, we want to get them to the really, really good stuff in those raffles. So, and then we can come back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen here real quick again, and then we'll go in and win some prizes for some folks that are here. So we have a little bit of a spin wheel here for those that are new. And what we'll do is we'll click the spinny wheel. And then when you come up, you have to be in attendance. So if your name is called, please either jump off of mute or show your face or type something into the comment section so that we know that you're still sitting at your computer. And then we'll get you your prize. So with that, we've got 3 prizes on the docket. We have 2 $25 gift cards from our dear friends and sponsors, AdTech, and then one big winner is the $50 gift card from Adaptivist. So thank you very much, AdTech and Adaptivist, for providing these raffle prizes. So with that, we will go on to the first one, which is the $25 gift card from AdTech, the first one. Rachel.
Blessed and honored. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Wonderful. You get a $25 gift card from AdTech. If you could just share the email you want that to go to, we'll link you up with the sponsor after the call so we can get you situated.
Cool.
And Rachel, you could just DM myself or Andrew there as well.
Okay.
Awesome. And unfortunately, you can't win twice, so we'll have to remove you from the pinwheel. But if you would have won twice, then definitely play the lottery. So we'll go on to the second one here, which is another $25 gift card from AdTech. Araf, are you there?
Hi. Are you?
I know Araf very well. I can hand it over to him. Oh, he's there?
Hey, I'm here. How about it? If you want to take it, I'm not going to say no.
No,
right?
man, just kidding. Just kidding.
Rafa, you usually ask questions, man. Since you don't ask me questions, we may have to ask some tough questions.
The bent here is all about cloud, and that's not where I'm leaning for. So there's really no questions from me left.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Okay. And then for the last one here, the $50 gift card from Adaptivist. Andrew, or not me, the other, Andrew.
Hey, I'm still here.
Oh, you're still here. Even after all the cloud talk, you're still here, huh?
Yep.
You got rewarded for that.
So if you want to send over your email to either Dilip or I, we'll get you connected with them. So that was the raffles. We gave away some good prizes, and for those that weren't able to win, we hope you can join our next event where we'll put you on the spin wheel, and hopefully you'll get something. So with that, that concludes the agenda for the evening. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Jean-Philippe, for giving us an overview of ScriptRunner for the cloud. Thank you, AdTech and Adaptivist, for sponsoring the event. And thank you all for attending. So I will stop the share